Hi everyone, welcome to the beautiful island of Barbados here in the Caribbean Sea. So today we are going to be working with the shoulder clawed ranch roast. A wonderful piece of meat, and the secret to this wonderful roast is to make sure that you start off with a good quality US meat. Making sure not to overcook, making sure the animal is young, probably around 30 months. The US, they work with the 100 to 150 day feeding with corn before the animal is harvested. So that corn fed process helps to give a buttery flavor in the meat that you're going to actually eat. So you want to make sure that the meat has a good bit of marbling, which this has. You can see all the fat running through the meat. That helps to add some flavor, and it also helps the meat to be able to be nice and tender. So when we talk about the grain in the meat, this is exactly what I mean. If you look here, as I pull it apart, you can see the grains running this way. This is the strands that we talk about. So when you hear a chef talk about cutting against the grain, it is not cutting this way, that's cutting with the grain. It's cutting against the grain to shorten the strands so that the meat is much more tender and it performs the way it is supposed to. Believe it or not, this meat is, in tenderness, is close to the New York strip steak. It's just a bit tougher, but it actually performs very similar to the New York strip steak. So we're going to put the roast together with some roasted tomatoes and some wilted greens and wonderful sweet potato hash. But the first thing we're going to do is marinate our roast. And remember, although this steak really doesn't need a whole set of marination and stuff, it still helps because it helps to tenderize the meat even further and add moisture. We're going to work on the potatoes now for the hash because we have the steak pretty much in the marinade. We want to get the potatoes ready. Another thing about this sweet potato is that it is very high in complex carbohydrates, low in the complex sugars that you would find in the orange sweet potato in the United States. Therefore, it makes it much more usable in a healthy way for the body. So we have the steak drained and pat dry. We are about to put it in the oven. Remember to crank the oven up to 400 degrees. After 400 degrees in the oven for about 10 minutes, you turn the oven down and to like 350 degrees or so, and allow it to cook for another 20 minutes. Allow that wonderful caramelization to take place on the outside of the meat. Now, realize that we had pineapple in the marination. That marination had the pineapple in there for that enzyme called bromelain. That is an enzyme that allows the breakdown. It helps to tenderize. You just want to treat this meat correctly so you get the right reaction from it. You can use any type of citrus, anything like that would help the meat to break down. So we are going to prepare our roasted tomatoes. Very simple. Just slice the tomato, cut the tomato in half or cut it in four, however you choose. And then we put them into the pan, salt, pepper, olive oil, and put them in the oven to roast. Now on to the wilted greens, and it's pretty simple. Some olive oil, salt and pepper into the pan. We've peeled and diced our potatoes. A bit of olive oil, slow the burning of the butter, some cinnamon. Remember I said the potatoes are not sweet, but this brown sugar will allow some nice caramelization. The aroma is fantastic right now. So it's our time for plating. In our plate we have the bok choy, we have our sweet potato hash with all the golden bits on the outside. We also have our tomatoes done, nice and lovely, and we have our roast done, our shoulder clawed roast, and then we have our dry red wine sauce to add to the dish. There you have it, our ranch roast with your sweet potato hash, your roasted tomatoes, and your bok choy topped with that luscious dry red wine sauce. So thank you so much for joining me. Bon appetit.